Unit 3, Lesson 4, Isosceles and Other Triangles. Your objective for this lesson is to apply properties of isosceles and other triangles to solve problems. Okay, so let's look at a few things here. First, I want to classify triangles by their sides. So we can do that. And you see here, I have an equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle has three congruent sides. And these tick marks on the sides mean that the sides are congruent. This one too. Okay. You'll notice that the three angles are also marked congruent. You can do that because an equilateral triangle is also going to be equiangular. So equilateral triangle also will have three congruent angles. But equilateral specifically means equal sides, so lateral means sides. Next, the isosceles triangle has at least two congruent sides. And again, these two sides have been marked congruent for us. So since an isosceles triangle has at least two congruent sides, an equilateral triangle is also isosceles. The scalene triangle has no congruent sides, so none of them are the same length. Classifying triangles by angles. Okay, so I mentioned the equiangular triangle. These arcs show that each of the angles is equal. It has three congruent angles, which means three 60-degree angles. An acute triangle has three acute angles. That just means that all of the angles are less than 90 degrees. They don't have to be necessarily the same size. An obtuse triangle has one obtuse angle, which is greater than 90 degrees. And a right triangle has at least one right angle. Oh, sorry, not at least one right angle. It has exactly one right angle, which is equal to exactly 90 degrees. Okay. Looking here, remember the isosceles triangle has at least two congruent sides. And if we labeled it, each of the sides that are congruent are called a leg. The other side is called the base, no matter how it's oriented. So even if the base is going vertically up and down and the two congruent sides are going sideways like this, these are still the legs, this is still the base. The angles opposite the legs, so opposite the legs, are called the base angles. And you see that they are the ones that touch the base. And the other angle is called the vertex angle. It's only for isosceles triangles. Okay. The isosceles triangle theorem says that the base angles of an isosceles triangle are congruent. So remember, isosceles only talks about the sides, but we can prove, we're not going to here, but we can prove that the base angles are also congruent. So isosceles really has two equal sides and two equal angles. The converse of the isosceles triangle theorem is that if two angles of a triangle are congruent, then the sides opposite them are congruent. So basically we can look at the triangle, and if I have congruent angles like this, I can determine that the sides opposite them are congruent and that that's an isosceles triangle. And that is it for this lesson.